Well, Tommy, just talk us through the last couple of weeks. How did you find out about the diagnosis?
It's not just a couple of weeks, Phil. It's been months now. You know, about 4 or 5 months. I started off with cramps in my hand, and my fingers would lock in a position. I would have to peel them open, and the pain was quite heavy. And then I started getting cramps in my legs in bits and pieces, and you run it off. You think, oh, I'm just tired, or you know, my wife said, oh, you don't drink enough water, and that this leads to cramps. So you put that off and put that off, and then all of a sudden it started to get a bit worse, and I started to get these pains up the back of my neck into my head, and they were excruciating, terrible. So we went down to the doctors, and they examined me, and then I went back again and examined me, and then I went to a specialist, and she says, right, I'm sending you down to Cambridge. I need to get you looked at, and they stick pins in you and whatever and all the rest of it. And then I went back to see her, and she says, by then, funnily enough, Phil, we sort of half realised what was happening. My wife was good at reading up on things, and it sort of was coming clearer to us. And then when I went to see her after she had all the results, and she said, I'm ever sorry to tell you, and to be the one to tell you. And she's so lovely. And she said, but we greatly believe it's motor neurone disease. She says the way your muscles have shrank, which they have, because obviously being an ex-player, we have good muscle tone, and they've just gone in my arms, you know. And my hands are strong, still strong, but the muscles of my arms have gone, and I still get the cramps and all the rest of it. So that was it. And it was the thing is, Phil, and I suppose people might relate to this, is that when you think things, it's not too bad, but when you get told, that then hits you, and you realise, you know, what you've been thinking. You ain't thinking it anymore. You know it. You know what's up, and of course you have to get over it. I mean, my son lives in Brighton, my daughter lives in Whittlesea, and we all got here and got together. And I don't mind telling people, we all sat there and we all had a good cry. We just brought it out into the open and said, look, this is what's going to happen in a few years. Can't do anything about it. You know, I can't get any better. I can only get worse, which means that my legs will get it. I'll end up in a wheelchair, and things go on from there, which I don't want to talk about in a minute. But at the moment, you know, I can do most things, well, nearly everything at the minute, a little bit awkward at times. And like I've said to Bob Sims and the chairman and whatever, as long as I don't get too bad, I'd like to come and still do the hospitality. And they're behind me 100%. And said, look, the choice will be yours when you leave. When you stop doing the job, that will be your choice, not ours, which is absolutely brilliant of the club, and I really appreciate the chairman's words on that. So we go from there.
Yeah, I mean, as you say, you can try and fight it, or you can accept it, and I guess it's a bit of both, isn't it? You want to be as strong as you possibly can.
It's a difficult one, Phil, because you can't fight it. You can fight, and you can stay here as long as you possibly can, but you can't win. You cannot win, not at the moment. They are working on it, and there's several footballers got it. I'm not the only one, believe me. I mean, my son sort of has looked on the internet, and there's 3 or 4 players who are either have died from it or are fighting it, and I'm going to be one that fights it. And if I can help anybody along the way. It's funny, I've got, on the 30th of this month, I've got to do a talk to the Alzheimer's, the people who have Alzheimer's, and I'm looking forward to that, because I can relate to them now, really relate to them. I mean, with my illness, and you know, we'll be there as one, and we'll support each other.
Have you say you've found out a little bit more about the disease? Obviously, you've talked about the players that have had it. Is it a case of doing as much research as you possibly can so you can prepare as best you can?
I think you do. I mean, a lot of people I have heard about, a lot of people's wrong, because it's not. I think the statistics were 2 in every 100,000 people get it, which is, I don't know whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. I don't really be proud that I'm 2 out of 100,000 people, but you know, it's just, you go on and you just try and relate to it the best you can.
Obviously, you've had a lot of well wishes from supporters across social media, across in person, and that must be really heartwarming to know that so many people care about you.
Oh, the word is fabulous. To open your phone up and it just flashes in there all these names of people that you don't even know, you know, or you know them but you don't know the names, you know, and it was amazing how quickly it gets out in the social media, and so grateful. Some of the comments are fabulous. You know, we've watched you for years, we've grown up with you playing and all the rest of it, and you know, my son started playing football after watching you, and you know, they're brilliant comments, Phil, and it just makes it, you know, well, it's worthwhile you being alive. You've done a little bit for people, you know, and I'm chuffed about that.